Do you know the one move that silently kills attraction on date one? And you do it thinking it's polite, respectful, even romantic? You surrender your frame. You hand over the steering wheel of the evening, your energy, your boundaries, and your standards in the first 5 to 10 minutes. And the rest of the date is just you trying to recover momentum you gave away. Tonight I'm going to show you, step by step, how to never do that again. I'll break down what frame actually is in real-world terms, how it's tested without words, what behaviors murder it instantly, and how to build an unshakable presence that makes a first date feel inevitable, fun, and lightly charged without forcing anything. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what to say, where to steer, what to ignore, what to amplify, and how to leave her curious about you when you stand up to go. If you've ever left a date thinking, "I said all the right things. Why did chemistry feel flat?" This is the missing piece. Let's define frame in a way you can use in the next hour. Your frame is the meaning you set for the interaction. It's the context. Irving Goffman, the sociologist who studied how people perform roles in social life, would say you're setting the stage on which behavior gets interpreted. In seduction terms, frame is the invisible rulebook both of you feel but never sign. You're not controlling her. You're defining how you show up and what world the date takes place in. Robert Greene's ideas on power dynamics remind us that people respond to the story you're telling with your behavior more than the lines you say. Behavioral scientists like Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky showed how context changes perception even when the content stays the same. Framing effects. On a date, your frame is the emotional context that makes your words land as attractive, neutral, or repellent. If your frame is, "I hope I'm good enough," even your clever jokes will taste like auditioning. If your frame is, "I'm centered, I have standards, I'm curious to meet you," then even simple questions feel grounded and masculine. Here's the frame killer you must never do on date one: seeking permission to be yourself. It hides in dozens of micro behaviors. Asking where she wants to go because you're afraid to choose. Over-explaining your choices so you don't get criticized. Performing like a clown because silence makes you anxious. Turning the date into an interview because you're chasing connection through data. Oversharing your life story to prove you're real. Over-validating her beauty or resume in the opening minutes like you're trying to buy attraction. Apologizing for your standards. Submitting to every test. Reacting to every mood. In short, you let the external environment dictate your internal state. That's the frame killer. You broadcast, "My center is negotiable." Attraction needs polarity. Polarity needs a center that doesn't wobble with every gust of wind. Before I give you the exact first date playbook, I want you to see why your nervous system craves the behaviors that kill your frame. Social psychology and evolutionary psychology both point to our wiring for acceptance. Humans are hyper-attuned to social approval because historically it meant survival. Speed dating studies show attraction judgments form in seconds. Nalini Ambadi's Thin Slices research demonstrates how people infer traits from very short interactions. On a date, your brain wants to front-load acceptance signals. Laugh too quickly, agree too easily, keep talking so there are no awkward pauses, and validate like a vending machine. But what reads as safe to your nervous system reads as neediness to another person's attraction system. Helen Fisher's work on romantic love and novelty shows that a spark thrives on a subtle tension between curiosity and comfort. Kill all tension by over-accommodating, and you flatten the emotional arc. That is why being nice is not the same as being attractive. Being kind and grounded is attractive. Being overly pleasing is frame death. Let's build the frame you hold from the text before the date to the last minute of the night. It starts before you ever meet. Leading doesn't mean bulldozing, it means proposing a direction with confidence and room for collaboration. When you propose the plan, give a specific time and a simple vibe. Let's meet at 7:15. I know a spot with great lighting and quiet music. It's easy to talk. No paragraphs, no pleading, no fake indecision. This does 3 things. First, it reduces decision fatigue. Kahneman would approve. Second, it signals you live with intention. Third, it sets a sensory frame. Conversation and connection, not interrogation or performance. If she suggests a different place or time, you consider it calmly. You're flexible without collapsing. Flexibility without collapse is the masculine sweet spot. When you arrive, your body speaks before you do. You can't think your way into a grounded presence. You breathe your way into it. Stand tall through the crown of your head, shoulders relaxed. Exhale longer than you inhale to switch on your parasympathetic system, and let your eyes settle. Don't scan the room like a hunting hawk. Lock eyes for a second. Smile like you're pleased to see her and move deliberately. Touch is minimal and appropriate. A brief one-armed hug or a light touch on the upper back as you navigate to the table if it's natural. Mystery's early game principle about demonstrating calm pre-selection is often misunderstood. You're not signaling you have a harem. You're signaling you're comfortable in social environments and don't need to perform. Calm, not circus. The first 5 minutes are where most men surrender their frame. They compensate for nerves by over-complimenting, over-disclosing, or over-asking. Let me give you a simple opening blueprint that holds frame without being stiff. Start with an observation about the environment or a light, specific compliment that isn't worshiping. This place actually plays music at a human volume. I can appreciate that. Or, you've got a sharp eye for color. That jacket is doing you favors. Then move into a values-based curiosity question rather than a bio question. Instead of, so what do you do? Try, what problem are you obsessed with solving this year? Instead of, where are you from? Try, what kind of environments make you most alive? This shift does 2 things. First, it signals you vet for alignment, not just credentials. David Buss's work reminds us that mate choice factors include long-term compatibility signals, and values questions probe those without being heavy. Second, it pulls her into a present-tense conversation. Frame lives in the now, not in a resume recap. Never do the interview spiral. Interview mode is an attraction anesthetic. Rapid-fire questions with no calibration signal that you're seeking her approval and frantically trying to keep the ball in the air. Use the investment ladder instead. Think of investment on 5 rungs: observation, perspective, value, collaboration, future. Observation is you noticing something real, how she frames ideas, her taste, her micro-expressions. Perspective is you revealing how you see the world. I tend to prefer small places because people actually reveal themselves when they're not shouting. Value is appreciating something specific she brings. I like how clean your thinking is. You don't pile words where they're not needed. Collaboration is inviting a shared moment. Let's test a theory. 2 minutes without our phones on the table. See if our attention changes the flavor of the conversation. Future is a lightweight projection. There's a jazz spot with terrible chairs and phenomenal trumpets. That's the kind of discomfort that's worth it. You don't rush this ladder, you let it emerge, but you also don't hide your perspective. A strong frame requires you to reveal taste. People can't align to fog. Here's a crucial psychological lever: selective validation. Robert Cialdini's principles of influence include reciprocity and commitment. On a date, over-validating at the start triggers reciprocity in the wrong direction. You've already given too much and created a debt you don't want repaid with pity. Instead, validate sparingly and specifically when she shares something that reflects character, not just surface. I respect the discipline it takes to wake early without an alarm. It tells me you keep promises to yourself. That kind of validation rewards self-respect and, paradoxically, creates more of it. You're not validating to get something. You're acknowledging what you genuinely value. That keeps your frame clean. Next, never apologize for your standards. A lot of men try to be agreeable and end up apologizing for everything. Ordering decisively, choosing a table, making a joke with an edge, even holding a boundary around phones. Do not explain your preferences like a defendant. If you prefer a table away from the speakers, you simply say, "Let's grab that corner. I like hearing the person I'm with." If she pushes a test, "Why that table?" You smile. "Because I want to actually talk to you." Calm certainty is attractive because it reduces ambiguity without adding pressure. Tests happen. Buss and others have framed mate choice copying and testing as ways to detect bluffing or low investment. Your task is not to pass every test with fireworks. Your task is to remain composed and congruent. Don't swing, nod, and redirect with warmth. Never complain. Negativity about the staff, the menu, your ex, the city, your job, it bleeds your status instantly. Emotion spreads through mirror neurons. If you turn the date into a grievance group, you make her feel heavy. Stoic principles from Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius are the antidote. Focus on what you control, your conduct, and treat what you don't control with amused acceptance. If the order is late, you don't dramatize. You make a light observation and return to the interaction. People remember how they felt with you. Create an emotional climate that feels clear and lightly challenging, not sticky and sour. Don't posture. Bragging and monologues are defensive shields. The secure frame doesn't need to list achievements. It lets curiosity do the work. Evolutionary cues of competence show in micro-behaviors, relaxed tempo, eye contact that rests instead of darts, the ability to hold silence without scrambling. If silence appears, don't panic and fill it. Take a breath and return with a real thought. The most attractive men are comfortable with a beat of quiet because their internal world is not anxious about approval. When you can hold a 2-second pause and then ask a good question, you radiate composure. Never interrogate her past relationships or trauma on date 1. Arthur Aaron's research on self-disclosure shows that structured vulnerability deepens connection, but the timing and scaffolding matter. Too much too soon flips the date into therapy or a pity exchange. Your frame is present tense, lightly forward-leaning, focused on how she moves through life now. If she shares something heavy, you honor it briefly and pivot to agency. I appreciate you telling me that. What did it teach you about your standards now? This keeps the energy dignified and future-oriented. You are not a priest, a therapist, or a judge. You are a man evaluating resonance. Never outsource the emotional tone to alcohol. If you need 3 drinks to be interesting, you're not interesting. You're anxious. Keep alcohol moderate. Hydrate. The masculine frame is clarity. A single drink can lubricate. 3 drinks erode presence. Most crucial signals of attraction, eye contact, proximity, pacing, mirroring, are better read and calibrated when you're clear. You want your nervous system to be yours, not the bar's. Never over-escalate physically on date 1 just to prove you're not friend-zoning yourself. Sexual tension grows with calibration, not with aggressive moves. Esther Perel often talks about how desire thrives on space and imagination. Your job is to introduce polarity, not urgency. You do that with subtext. Slow your speech when the moment is close. Hold eye contact half a second longer. Let your voice drop when you say her name. Lean back after a shared laugh rather than lunging forward. You're creating a rhythm. Approach, relax, tease, appreciate, reveal, observe. If a kiss happens naturally at the end, it happens because the interaction asked for it, not because you scheduled it. Your frame is abundance, not desperation. Let's talk tests and how not to fail them by overreacting. There are 2 kinds, overt and covert. Overt tests sound like challenges. Why should I trust men? Are you a player? Do you take all girls here? Covert tests are behavioral. She leaves the phone face up on the table. She goes cold for a few minutes. She sees if you'll chase every time she withholds. The insecure man argues, defends, or performs. The grounded man reframes and leads. Why should I trust men? Is not an exam. It's a cue to reveal your code. You shouldn't trust anyone quickly. Trust is earned by consistency. Watch my behavior and decide. Do you take all girls here? You smile. I take people where conversation actually works. Then you pivot to a question about her taste. You don't flinch, you stay playful and certain. As Epictetus would say, the event is neutral. Your judgment assigns value. Hold a strong judgment about yourself. Never put the phone on the table. It signals their attention is negotiable. The small ritual of putting your phone away before she arrives, or if it's out, putting it away without performative commentary, defines the date as a present encounter. If she leaves hers out, you don't scold. You hold frame with humor. If it rings, we'll vote on whether you should take it. You're not controlling, you're inviting presence. Most people will mirror the energy you set if you set it early and naturally. Now the structure of conversation. Start with the sensory environment, move to values, sprinkle biography, then escalate into shared imagination. Biography alone is dry. Values alone can be intense without roots. Shared imagination is where sparks fly. You riff on mini scenarios. That's where Iran's progression can be used lightly. You can ask questions that invite depth without heaviness. What's a skill you'll be proud of at 80? What's a tiny risk that would make this year more alive? What environments make you kinder? These are not tests, they're doorways. When she answers, You don't evaluate, you explore. Curiosity stabilizes frame because you stop performing and start discovering. The masculine frame loves reality. Discovery is your hobby. Never turn the date into a transaction. Money is practical, but the way you handle it signals your worldview. If you invited her, handle the tab without commentary. Don't peacock with the check. Don't itemize. Don't perform generosity. Embody it. If she insists on contributing, you can accept gracefully or say, "I invited. Next time you pick coffee." Either way, you don't make it a moral referendum. Your frame is abundance in conduct, not spreadsheets at the table. Avoid the future dump. Many men compensate for lack of spark by promising future plans they haven't earned yet. Trips, shows, elaborate weekends. Your bleeding frame. The only future you plant on date 1 is a light, specific seed that aligns with what you naturally do. There's a bookstore with a coffee bar and a piano that never gets played. It's one of my favorite low-stimulation places. If she lights up, great. If not, you drop it. Your life is already rich. You're not inventing a persona to attract her. Congruence is the quietest flex. Never chase her attention inside the date. If her energy dips, you don't juggle. You shift tempo. Sometimes a simple reset works. Let's walk for 5 minutes. Stationary conversation can turn stale. Movement changes energy. Environmental psychology shows that walking side by side can reduce defensiveness and open conversation. If walking isn't possible, change the input. "I'm going to get water. Want one?" Then you return with a new thread. Leadership is not dominance. It's stewardship of the experience. Now let's get practical with specific lines and micro behaviors you can use tonight. When you greet her, "Good to see you. I appreciate punctual people." Calm eye contact, half smile, no inspection scan. When you sit, "Let's grab that corner. I prefer less noise than Instagram." You're revealing taste without sneering. Early compliment. "That ring looks like it belonged to someone interesting before you." You invite a story rather than worshiping beauty. First values question. What rule of yours has made your life better this year? If she asks about your work and you don't want to lead with a resume, "I solve problems with words and systems. It's nerdy and satisfying." Then pivot. What do you do when you've got 3 unstructured hours? If she tests your decisiveness, you choose. You smile. "I appreciate preference. I chose the place, you choose the appetizer." Shared collaboration without abdication. Mid-date, calibrate. If she talks quickly and jumps topics, slow just a bit and anchor the most interesting thread. Pause there. "The way you said I needed to prove it to myself is interesting. Tell me about that." If she's more reserved, use lighter curiosity and offer a personal frame first. "I'm deliberate about small routines because they compound. Morning sunlight, writing before screens. What small ritual actually changes your day?" You're not interrogating. You're revealing, then inviting. Never flood her with compliments about her looks. 1 or 2 specific acknowledgments are more powerful than a stream. Studies on the pratfall effect suggest that small imperfections can increase attractiveness because they signal authenticity. Don't comment on imperfections, but do allow yourself to be human. If you fumble a word, smile and keep going. Perfection is suspicious. Poise is magnetic. Authentic composure is the target. If she brings up X's or negative experiences early, you keep your center. People teach us what we're available for. What did you learn about your standards? You don't join the complaint. If she asks about your exes, you don't dump. I've had relationships I'm grateful for. I learned that alignment of pace and values is everything. Period. No gossip, no victim stories. Viktor Frankl wrote about finding meaning in our choices, without comparing anything that profound. On a date, your meaning-making frame matters. You show that you interpret experiences as feedback, not identity wounds, to cradle. Let's cover humor because it's one of the cleanest ways to hold frame. Don't do self-erasing jokes. Tease with warmth. If she's indecisive about dessert, we can negotiate. I'll choose decisively and you can pretend you didn't want a bite. Smile. Pause. If she says she hates small talk, perfect. I'm allergic to it. Now, what hill would you die on that most people think is silly? Humor under tension is attractive because it says you can play under pressure. Play is a masculine luxury signal. The end of the date is where men either leak their frame or lock it. Don't drag the goodbye. End on a high note. If the vibe was warm and you want a second date, name a thread you enjoyed and propose a simple follow-up anchored to it. I like your curiosity about architecture. There's a modernist building a few blocks away that's an eyesore in the best way. Let's do a short coffee near there one evening. If a kiss is natural, it will feel like a punctuation mark, not a performance. If it's not, don't force it. You can hold her gaze, smile, and say, "I liked this," and step away. Men sabotage here by negotiating for future certainty. Don't. Leave a small space for her to lean in later. Desire likes room. After the date, never send a needy paragraph. A clean message the next day referencing a specific moment wins. That line you dropped about earning your own respect first was solid. Wednesday 7 works for me for that coffee by the eyesore. Specificity signals presence. Brevity signals abundance. If she's slow to reply, you don't double text with escalating emotional risk. You let your original message stand and continue your life. Your frame is independent of her response time. Now the internal work that makes all of this natural instead of scripted. You cannot fake a strong frame for long. It's built from self-respect expressed daily. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Translate that into your mornings. Move your body. Keep one promise to yourself before noon. Write your top 3 priorities. Live in alignment so your nervous system trusts you. If you keep abandoning yourself Tuesday through Friday, you'll reach for external validation Saturday night. Your first date presence is a lagging indicator of your weekly integrity. Breath and voice matter. Practice a simple cadence. Exhale longer than you inhale for 2 minutes before you arrive. When you speak, finish your sentences. Don't upspeak. Record yourself reading for 3 minutes a day. Listen for speed and articulation. Slow by 10%. Confidence is pace control. Women notice vocal congruence subconsciously. You're not trying to be theatrical. You're trying to be clear. Presence is audible. Calibrate your eye contact. Hold it when you're listening. Break it briefly when you're thinking. And soften it when you're appreciating. Predator eyes creep people out. Scattered eyes scream insecurity. You want a rested gaze. If you're nervous, widen your peripheral awareness. Feel the room with your vision rather than drilling holes. Psychological safety begins in your own body. Build standards and enforce them lightly. If she's 15 minutes late without communication, you acknowledge. Glad you made it. Next time, just shoot a text. I plan around the time I set. You don't lecture. If she's rude to staff, you decide whether that's a non-starter for you. If it is, you end the date early with grace. I'm going to wrap up. I enjoyed the conversation, but I keep a tight code about how people treat service staff. That's a man speaking for his values, not punishing. Your frame is your spine. Avoid 2 other frame killers: performing exclusivity and imitation. Performing exclusivity sounds like, "I'm not like other guys," which is just a disguised plea. Imitation is lifting someone else's lines without embodying the intent. Learn from frameworks, mystery method structure, Cialdini's principles, Buss's evolutionary cues, even Mark Manson's blunt emphasis on values. But then live them. Don't cosplay them. Your mission makes your humor land. Your habits make your standards credible. Your curiosity makes your questions alive. You can't posture your way into that. You practice your way into it. On date 1, your goal isn't to impress. It's to reveal compatibility while radiating self-possession. Compatibility is more than shared interests. It's shared pace, similar conflict style, aligned views on effort. Probe lightly. When you're stressed, do you prefer to be alone or with your people? Do you plan trips or wing them? What do you do with disagreement? Talk it out quickly or take space. These are not marriage interviews. They're human alignment questions. You're not seeking perfection, you're reading fit. A strong frame can say no without drama. So here's your simple never again protocol for date 1. Never seek permission to be yourself. Lead with specificity and warmth. Choose the environment. Use values first curiosity. Hold your standards without apology. Validate character, not just aesthetics. Keep your phone away. Don't complain. Don't interrogate or overshare. Calibrate humor and silence. End decisively and leave a little room in the air. Then follow up with a specific light plan. These are not theatrics, they're habits of a centered man. If you want a micro drill for the next 7 days to make this automatic, do this. Every day, make one small decision quickly and own it. What table you sit at, which route you walk, what time you leave the gym, and do not justify it to anyone. Each morning, practice 2 minutes of slow exhale breathing and 3 minutes of reading out loud to polish your cadence. During any conversation with a friend, hold a 2-second pause before your first question. Let your curiosity choose a values-based question rather than a biographical one. And every evening, write down one standard you honored. This rewires your nervous system to feel safe being decisive and curious without explaining yourself. That is the engine of your frame. Remember that attraction is not a performance you give. It's a resonance you permit. The first date isn't a courtroom or a comedy set. It's a lab, and you are the scientist of your own presence. When you refuse to seek permission to be yourself, when you hold a light but steady lead, when you meet tests with a smile and respond to them with clarity, you make the date feel like an adventure with gravity. And that's the truth nobody tells you. The most compelling men aren't louder, they're clearer. They don't rush to fill silence. They let meaning catch up. They don't chase connection. They create conditions where connection can choose them. So the next time you sit down across from a woman, let your shoulders drop, let your eyes rest, decide what you appreciate in the moment, and ask the question that reveals who she is, rather than what she's done. Let her feel that you live by a code you wrote on paper, not just in your head. If sparks fly, it won't be because you were perfect. It will be because you were anchored. And if they don't, you'll still leave with your center intact, which is the point. Never do the one thing that kills frame on date 1. Don't ask for permission to be you. Lead, listen, calibrate, and walk away at the end of the night as the same man who walked in, only better. That's how you hold a frame she can relax into. That's how attraction stops feeling like luck and starts feeling like the natural consequence of how you move.